We cannot take a death threat as a joke. We cannot. We have representatives here, I believe, that are in Olympia. We need to reevaluate the second level threat assessment. They tried to break down the threat assessment to us, and we asked them for a list of names on who is on your threat assessment team, and they still have not given us that list. The Marysville School District. We asked them to ask us who was on their preparedness team. They still haven't given us this list. They're supposed to engage the community because disproportionately black and brown students are disciplined at a higher rate. They still have not reached out to our community to work on discipline here in the Marysville School District. We've been at the table for 3 years trying to co-create. But when they threaten our children, enough is enough. I want you to repeat to me, because I'm going to have a call to action to you for a minute. I want you to say, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
One more time. Enough is enough.
Is enough.
And see, if we broaden our coalition in solidarity and they hear from us, we will see the change that we want to see. And so they would not come to the table. And the mayor's here. I want to thank Mayor John Nearing, his son, Nate Nearing, County Councilman. Chief Eric Scarpin is not here. He's been transparent from day one with the Marysville Police Department and the Tulalip tribes. We've been at the table for 2 months trying to resolve this particular issue. And I told Lori Knudsen, Lori, you can't solve this without relationships and trust. You cannot ignore the families who have been harmed and traumatized from racism. You have to work with us. Everybody saw it at the table. If you don't believe it, ask the mayor. We came to the table trying to co-create change to keep our children safe and to keep the learning environment protected. And in the 9th hour, exactly what I told Lori Knudsen not to do, she did it. She broke off of the group, hired a brown and black face of consultants, and thought that she could lead the discussion about how we were going to heal and how we were going to engage in our community. And they have a series of forums set without the families who have been victimized. Is that the type of leadership we want in this city? Is that the type of leadership we will continue to accept?
No.
And so we got upset. We called a community meeting. We had a discussion about the death threats and really wanted to do something. And they had their own meeting the week after. And Emma made this call to action clear to me. She poured out her spirit and said, I show up to my learning day disgusted and wants to vomit. That's how our children are showing up to their learning day. They want to vomit and they're disgusted because they saw that the student was still in school. She cried out for 10 to 12 minutes, poured her soul out. And do you know what these consultants did? They pivoted off of Emma and said, thank you so much, Emma, for sharing. Now let us hear from the community leaders. How can you not hear the pain and suffering of our students and families and pivot off of them? Shame on you, Marysville School District. That's why these consultants are not fit to lead. Now, they still didn't tell us that these students got moved. Oh, you Getchell parents. They moved the student from Marysville Pilchuck to Getchell without even telling the families who've been harmed. We found out after the second death threat. Now, they just sent me 255 pages of the second death threat. Forgive me, I haven't been able to get through it prior to this press conference. But because we called the press conference, we're getting some action now. And that's good. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's good. But does it really require us to have a press release and a press conference for the families that have been harmed and traumatized and victimized over racism? Is that so within 1 month, because the school district did no intervention with this student, his phone was connected to another death threat, said, killing minorities soon, with a picture of a gun. Do you see, when you have bad leadership, how things can escalate to a tragic event? And we know in this community that we already have lived through a homicide, suicide already. We don't want to relive that. You would think that the Marysville School District would get that. And the fact that they are blind to the suffering and pain of the families of color. John Naring gets it. Nate Naring gets it. Eric Scarpin gets it. The NAACP gets it. The people that are here today get this. Why is it so hard for the Marysville School District to understand our pain? So within 1 month, the student, whether he was, they're going to convict him or not. I want you to know, I just got the report tonight. They're going to find, they said, a 20-year-old son of a police officer, a Marysville police officer, grabbed the phone, and they took the phone. Now, you know, everybody knows these teenagers. How many do you know teenagers don't know where their phone is and who got their phone? That's making us look like we're ridiculous. Now, I know you have to prove it in court, but the 20-year-old is taking credit, saying he grabbed the student's phone, took a picture of a gun on Snapchat and said, killing minority student, saying that the student didn't know nothing about it. Come on. Thank you, Pastor Stu, for being here. And let me just say something to you. Regardless if they charge him or not, he was there around an adult that made the same death threat he made 1 month earlier. We know that. His phone was used in another death threat in 1 month. And the district still didn't do nothing. What are we waiting on? Another dead body? My daughter's got to be killed to get some action out of the Marysville School District? God forbid it. They did nothing. And so I had to come out with a press release. On Wednesday night, my wife and I, Lord Jesus, help me today. At 12 o'clock at night, we released a press release, and guess what the Marysville School District did the next day? They removed the students from the school. It took a press release for you to understand our pain and suffering? A press release. My family's lives were threatened. Not once, but twice. Pete Lombard has worked in education for 40 years, and he said he's never seen nothing like this in his whole life. Never. Now, you might get one student threaten somebody's life, but 2 death threats in 3 months? And it can't require an action from this leadership team? Say it after me. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. That's why we are demanding the resignation of Jason Thomas, Lori Knudsen, and Rod Merrill and the consortium consultants. We're demanding that. You have failed at your most important responsibility, to keep the classroom safe and to protect the learning environment. You have failed at this. And I'm not even getting on the levy failure and the boundary failures and the COVID response and now racism. How much grace are we going to give this administration team? Failure after failure after failure. And how many of us we live in this community and say, but our kids don't go to school here? I'm tired of that. I live in this community. I have children. I'm tired of saying, I live here, but our kids go to Lake Woodland, or our kids go to Arlington, or our kids go to Lake Stevens. We have to say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. space to my wife. She's going to give you the lens of her perspectives as a mother. 10 teachers. I can't even give you all the details because they'll be retaliated. 10 teachers have come to me within the last 48 hours and said they are fearful of speaking their truth because of the retaliation of Lori Knudsen.